Okay, so I had another audio error and am having to do a voiceover again for this episode and the next one or two as well. So, oh well. Um, Here we are in our little, what's it called? Not downtown, town square, town center. I don't really want this area to be growing up too much bigger, and you see here I'm just changing some of the zoning around to make a different type of asset growing because I had a lot of those repeating. But I wanted to first thing put in the little the tax office unique building because I think it makes the most perfect little town square city hall looking building. Like you could just see that in a small town. So I always like to put that in my little old town areas. Sometimes I put the courthouse, which is a little big if I do like a kind of a bigger town, small town to start, then I put the courthouse in, or I did a snow village. I put the Christmas tree, but I always like to use one of the unique building assets to focus the little town square around. So, but overall, I don't really want the commercial to go all along this road that I'm pointing at there. I don't want. Originally, I was thinking of doing that, but I don't want the commercial to be growing much bigger. So we're just gonna stop it kind of there and try to add in some more houses, uh, expand on the neighborhoods a little bit, and then to make it feel a little bit more like a town square, I decided to put in these plazas. They have the same kind of decal as the out front of the office there, tax office. So I think it goes really well and it makes it look more like, hey, this is, the spot. And then excuse me as I go into my settings and I have traffic manager settings on there. I like to do high accuracy so that it makes people have to park. Otherwise, people will just get out of their cars and put it in their pockets. Uh, and then I was talking about this asset I have that for the first two levels of this asset, it like builds a little house. I think this is part of the American Eclectic collection on the workshop, and I really like them when they grow up because they look like normal American houses. I don't know that I'm used to, so they're cute. But anyway, I have more commercial demand that's going to be coming in, so I want to move over and work on the commercial area. That it's going to be like a newer kind of shopping center area with those American eclectic houses I was pointing out that start off as construction. But I had deleted some walkways, or when I upgraded the road, it deleted the walkways over here. So just to help people in these neighborhoods get through to the crosswalks, I am putting those in and then putting in a little bit of commercial along. I had to take away some of the district there so that the commercial would grow in my little district that has my trailer park theme. So then next I'm going to be building a big shopping center up at the top here. Not shopping center, but just a new area. And I make a bit of a mistake here. I just totally forget that I'm still in the stage of not making a ton of money, and I should have just used a normal 4-lane road because I'm putting in this tram road here, and I'm not putting in trams anytime soon, or not in this episode, not in the next episode either. I don't have the money for a tram depot, so I should have just done a 4-lane road and upgraded it later. I was just being lazy, and I shouldn't have done that because it's a lot of upkeep cost. It's like cost twice as much. So I start having money problems later on. And then here you see I am measuring with the road tool to get an equal distance out from the center bit. So it measures where your mouse is. It doesn't measure like the whole area that it's highlighting. And then again, I make the same mistake here about using a nicer road that has a higher upkeep cost. I should have just used a plain one, but I was thinking about how I wanted to put a nice suburb over here and how the people like tree-lined roads better, so I did that instead, and you'll see me start to have money problems later on because of that. Um, And then here, see how that line is like perpendicular with the center? I always go one click down like that to just make the angle of where it meets in a little more realistic, I guess, like a little more of a 90-degree angle, even though the guideline is a little bit off, but that's just how I do it. It doesn't really matter to the game anyway, it's just how I like to do it. And then I want to use some of these nicer American eclectic houses. I'm going to do a whole theme, like put my building theme over this area to make them so that it'll be a more cohesive looking neighborhood. But first, I think I'm going to work on a smaller area because I've got a lot of residential demand right now, and that's going to take me a minute to set up all the streets. So I'm going to do a smaller residential neighborhood with this other building theme I have that's like Japanese housing, I think. They're these really cute little high, I mean not high density, but it's just like they're little kind of condo type houses. They're called the Japanese low residential houses, I think. You'll see it in a minute when I pick the theme for it. But anyways, I like to use frontage roads a lot. It is when you're getting into a more dense area, I don't know. It just, it's always better to keep your main roads and your residential roads separate. Just have kind of one or two in and outs, but always give them good walking access. And then I'm just dividing up like the Japanese residential houses. They're only like 2x2 or 2x3 or whatever. So I'm dividing it up so to get the most use out of those zoning squares. And then in any kind of neighborhood, but especially when you want to densely pack people in, you want to always give them a park. It makes them level up faster, or helps them level up faster. And here we go. We're going to see the theme in a second when I pull it up. Japanese low residential house theme. So you go on the workshop, download building themes, and then you can download the Japanese low residential houses. And I wonder if we're going to sit here and watch them just grow in, because they're really cute, and it would be good if they had services. And then in that little arched area that I'm putting the pipes, I want to put another unique building. I want to put the big, one of the shopping malls, I think, up in there. But it is expensive, so we got to wait on that. And here they come. See, they're really cute little, I mean, yeah, they're what you think of when you look at pictures of like Japanese streets, just a little more modern looking, I guess. But I think they're cute. They look like townhouses, or I don't know, kind of like student housing, I guess. Which I'm thinking off to the right of the main boulevard to put like a university eventually. So that'll be good. It can be student housing. And okay, so here we're gonna I'm starting to put in trees, and then we're immediately gonna run into a problem of them catching on fire, which this is a really good example of what happens if you don't have fire helicopters. Which, like, with natural disasters, you get the fire helicopter depots, and if you don't have helicopters / can't afford them, like I can't right now, your trees will catch on fire, and they'll just keep catching on fire, and they'll catch the nearby buildings on fire. So my poor little firehouses, the two, maybe three, firehouses I have are having to like send out all their trucks over and over and over because my houses keep catching on fire. But it'll be okay. They'll burn through that little neighborhood, and then it'll stop. So the trees eventually go out, and it just leaves a big black scar on the neighborhood. But it'll bounce back. So I should have just listened to the game and quit there, because this is kind of the beginning of my really big problems, and here I go upgrading roads again. when I should be downgrading them because I'm gonna start having some serious money issues, and you'll see me have to deal with that. But anyway, I wanted to build, before I started this nicer neighborhood, to get a lot of demand for it. I wanted to build like kind of a community center area. So there's in the healthcare area, I don't know, tab, there's like a pool, community pool, and a gymnasium and stuff like that. And then I thought it would be good to make like a little community center with that and like the elder care and the child care center all in a central little hub there. And then it would make it really attractive for the fancy houses I want to put in. So then I'm gonna start, but of course I'm still not making money, so I want to get these houses in and get like the tax revenue going from them. But first I have to build the roads. So I do I put these in? Yeah, I guess I do. So another thing I didn't notice along the same lines of putting in fancy roads that have higher upkeep costs is, of course, these buildings also have high upkeep costs. And I just didn't really think about it. I was like, oh, these will be such a great draw for people to move in, and my neighborhood will fill up super quickly, which, to be fair, it does. But I end up eventually turning off the gymnasium, I think, because the upkeep cost is just too much, and I was having a lot of other money problems. So it really, I just came off of building a big city, and I don't know, I always just kind of forget when I start a new city that I always have problems, and I can't just build whatever I want to, and I have to stay within the parameters of the game. But that's part of the game. I like to do it. I like to play it that way. I don't like to do it with unlimited money because it is a game, and games are supposed to be semi-challenging, right? So anyway, uh, here I'm zone. I've paused it for a minute because I'm losing so much money, um, and I want to get these houses to grow in and give me tax revenue. So here I'm putting the American eclectic theme on the neighborhood, and oh, those buildings didn't have power, and I want them to pass power over to the new houses, so I put in a little bit of zoning for commercial and had it grow in there to pass the power along. And then look at my money just going down and down and down, and me not really even noticing as I put it on 3 speed to try and get these houses in there. But then of course I need water pipes for the houses, and then I can't afford the water pipes. And I decided to take this weird spot in the middle and make it into a park, which was a lovely idea. It is a lovely idea. So is this the first time I'm using the Park Life DLC in this town? I guess it is. Um, it's great to put these parks in between where people will want to walk, because you can charge for admission. Oh, here I go. Realizing that I'm running out of money and can't put my water pipes down. So I'm doing one of Biff's tricks of putting the taxes way up until people start to get unhappy and leave. And they'll complain. But it is a way to like get yourself enough cash for a minute, for the moment, to be able to put in the water pipes you so desperately need. Definitely not recommended to do that all the time, because it's just, I mean, it's super annoying to do, and you can't do it for very long until businesses and people start moving out. Alright, so that's fixed, kind of. Now what am I gonna do? As I have no money and I'm just waiting. Oh, and I had waited there a minute and I cut it out, and I got my bankruptcy, so I really need to like kick it into high gear, and I honestly I just thought about like deleting at this point and starting all the way over, but I wanted to show it and show that it can be dealt with. So I went in and I put just like my budget down on everything, which again, it always comes back later to bite you in the butt, but it saves you money for a little while. And I was thinking about putting the road maintenance down, but it doesn't change anything unless you have road maintenance vehicle, like a building for it. So otherwise, like you're always going to have the road maintenance costs, the base cost for it. You can't just put the budget down and not pay it. You have to pay it. Um, so I put all that down, and then I got a loan, I think. And I really want to put this mall down to attract more people, but I just can't justify spending all that money because um, I just can't. And then I realized I hadn't finished the park yet, and that will help a lot if I get the park in there to be a draw. And then I started running out of power, so I put in more power. And so now I'm going to finish in the park, and then I'm doing this trick again with the roads to get crosswalks so that all these people can like cross the street to get across to the park entrances, because if they can walk, they will walk. If they just want to go for a short little trip, the Sims will walk. So expanding my park area to be able to have more park gates all the way around, because then eventually on the other end I'm going to put a school, but I don't think I'd do that in this episode. But we put the park in and still losing money, but it will eventually become profitable. And I'm expanding the park area over there to make it go all the way across so that people will use it to cut across and pay to enter the park and pay to cross over and get over to the nice community center that will eventually live down there. And a good trick for parks, especially for leveling up your parks, you have to have like an entertainment value, and you can just whack the ticket up price at any time. Like people will pay it no matter what. But to level the park up, which makes it more attractive, and then if you're playing with milestones, of course, it unlocks more and more items to use. You put in, plazas and cafes, but also these props that I'm putting in right here. The props put up the entertainment value, and you can use, these hedges. I can just use 6 there. You can use a lot of them all together, and they put up the entertainment value without putting up the upkeep costs, I think. So I kind of ignored props for a long time just because they're slightly annoying to place. They don't like snap at all. You just have to like freehand and eyeball it. But I just learned from the city planner guy that they add entertainment value without adding costs. So here I am just putting in more and more. That is one, that play area counts as a building, but then I go back to the props and put in more, and it's yeah, I think it turns out okay. Unfortunately, the Sims don't use the props. That's something I really hope they fix if they eventually ever come out with a new City Skylines, but just like, because they can go into the plazas and like sit on the benches in the plazas. There's no reason if you put a bench down that somebody shouldn't be able to just like walk over to it. But I think there's a mod actually. There's probably a mod for that. I've seen where they have like people generators that like, it's like an invisible building basically. People will go visit a specific area, but they just kind of stand around. They don't really interact with anything. So it's good for like a beach or a grassy area of the park if you want people to be a bunch of people milling around. But anyway, I just really wish that was something that was in the vanilla game, because if they can interact with park plaza benches, they should be able to interact with the benches I put down, I think. So here we go. It's on the little pop-up there. You just saw it was a little a little profitable, making $100, so at least it's keeping itself alive, and will eventually help get more profitable as more people move into this nicer neighborhood area. And then I'm gonna put in all the services I can afford because as I was over there building the park, of course, my system is breaking down over here, so I can't really afford much else. But I put in fire, and then I realized I'm having a huge death problem, and oh gosh, and then I just my my budget was down there, and I should have put it up. That was a stupid mistake, but I just decided to do the tax trick instead to get more money because I will need another cemetery over here eventually. But I was trying to save money where I could and didn't put the budget back up, and that was dumb because I'm going to do it here in a minute. But I did the tax trick to get more money to be able to afford another cemetery. And the big problem is that I zoned all that stuff all together there in the trailer park area. They zoned it all at once, and so I'm just having a death wave issue paired with not having the budget set up on my there we go on my healthcare. It's kind of a shame that you can't have separate sliders for healthcare and deathcare because a lot less people get sick than die, and it would be nice to be able to separate those two out. But anyway, I'm just gonna speed it up and wait for all the dead people to disappear, and there we go. Almost. There you go. So each hearse can go out and pick up 10 dead people, so once you actually have the capacity to have hearses via putting your budget back up, it helps out a fair amount. I just turned off the gymnasium there. It made everybody sad because it was costing me a lot of money. And I always seem to forget that things have upkeep costs, and I just get into my little bubble of once I'm past this stage, I'm in a big city that's super profitable, and I never have to worry about that again. But it's half terrifying, half fun to start over and have to deal with it again. So here I'm just waiting. I'm looking at my profit and making sure that it's stabilized, and having police problems in my new neighborhood because all these people are robbing the half-built homes, robbing the copper pipes out of the walls or something. Okay, so I waited a little bit to get some money so that I could put in this police station so my people will stop being robbed over here. I thought about putting like a plaza or a park or something in the middle of this, but there's gonna be so many attractive buildings like the pool and the gym over there that I figured the police station would be just fine to put in the center there. People like police stations anyway, so and then I noticed my demand for my industrial was pretty high, so I came over here to zone some more of that in because I don't have the money to put in any big industrial buildings right now. And then yeah, so getting to the point where I'm thinking about how I'm going to expand that industrial area because at some point, I don't know, you want to put in the bakery and like there's some sort of food factory or something. But I wanted to finish out this area as much as I could before like letting the game run to get enough money to put in that mall. So I decided, well, I dumbly decided to upgrade the road because I realized I'd put just tree lined instead of I had gotten an asset that had bike lanes and trees, and this path I'm putting in is like a combination bike and pedestrian path. It's another asset that I got, so I put the main road out there, the north-south one right now that I made that into a bike lane road, and I forgot that I wanted to make a lot of cycle highways, so I got these assets and put them in that include trees and bikes. Because in the base game you have to choose one or the other. And then I just wanted to get a little more commercial in there to, again, help with the demand for the residential to grow in. And I thought I wanted to use these paths because they have string lights on them and they're really cute at night, but I decided I didn't like how they looked for this newer area. I wanted more concrete, I guess, just more refined than a fancy dirt path. So look at all the people on bikes over on the left. So that's what I was looking at, all the people on the bikes, and I decided to upgrade all my roads to have the bike lanes, and having power problems yet again. And then I remembered I also had an asset that had bike lanes and tram lanes. So I put that in, and another windmill wind turbine, when I can afford it. There you go. So there you go. It's profitable again, semi-profitable. Didn't get the highway intersection in yet, but that will be kind of the first order of business for next time. And yeah, hopefully just keep turning a profit and growing in some new, getting the residential demand creeping up ever so slightly, and hopefully building a new, expanding the industrial area next time.